Just going to talk to you about taking notes in your Connexus lessons and how can you be successful before you even take a quick check quiz or test, how you can set yourself up for success and how you can learn to read to understand. And because, guys, I want you guys to be successful. So here we go. The EQ, I took this straight out of, this is Unit 2, Lesson 2 in your Modern World Studies course. And the EQ was, how is the South's land important to its economy and how is the growth of industry changing the South? I took that straight out of the book, the online text, the objectives, right down here at the bottom of the objectives. Learn how the South's land is important to its economy and read about how the growth of industry is changing the South. That's all I did for the EQ. So when you're taking your notes, your own notes over sections that I have not given you notes for, you can write your own EQ in the C notes just by going to the objectives at the beginning of the section and turn those objectives into an EQ. So that as you're reading, you know that everything you're reading about is about, really, in this section, those two things. How the land is important to the economy, how the growth of industry is changing the South. Teacher notes. Before you start any lesson, look at the teacher notes. Good grief, guys. I put the questions you need to search for the answers for, I've put those in the teacher notes. So when you're taking C notes, at the very top of your C notes, directly underneath the EQ, write down the questions that I have put in your teacher notes. That way, when you're working through the lesson, you can just find those answers. Find the answers, good to go. So there's the first set of teacher notes. There's right here at the top. Here's the questions written directly from those teacher notes. There's key terms at the beginning. Here's what I would do. I would write down the key terms and their definition, and I would draw a picture. Drawing a picture is probably the best thing you can do for vocabulary. It just helps you to understand. So petrochemical substance, straight out of the little thing, substance such as plastic or paint is made from petroleum. So your blanks there, plastic or paint, and draw a picture. I would draw a picture of a milk jug. So that's the first one. Second one is industrialization, the process of building new industries in an area dominated by farming. So I'd draw a picture of some sort of factory or something like that. And the third one is Sunbelt, an area of the United States such stretching from the Atlantic coast to the California coast. And I already put a picture in your notes for you. Something like this that's like an area. Draw a map. If you can't draw a map, print one out, paste it in there. The map is really going to help you kind of understand the Sun Belt is this area in the South. Sun, typically, meaning we're going to have some warmth in this part of the United States. A little warmer than the part up here at the top. So there you go. All right, so look at this first section. This first section is here at the bottom. The land of the South. So what we're going to do is we're going to read this part in white and then fill in the purple part. So let's just read it together. There are many different ways that people in the South can make a living. The South's particular geography and climate make many of these jobs possible. So let's look back up here at our notes. The land of the South. First blank, South. All right, South climate geography make various ways for people to make a living. All right, the region has a warm climate, and most parts of it receive plenty of rain. The wide coastal plains along the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico have rich soil. In addition, the South has a long growing season. There are between 200 and 290 frost-free days every year. Together, these features make much of the South an excellent place for growing crops such as cotton, rice, tobacco, and sugarcane, and raising animals. So the climate is warm. The climate is warm. First blank, warm, or second blank, I guess, warm. And most parts receive plenty of rain. So warm and rain. There is rich soil and a long growing season. And there are between 200 and 290 frost-free days. These features make the South great for growing crops and raising animals. Now, if you were to think back to our first question, what factors about the South make it a great place to grow crops? We just gave 3 reasons right here. 3 reasons. The climate is warm and most parts receive plenty of rain. That's one. So you could write that Way back up here. You could write that in your C notes. Answer the question. So you would write 1, warm, plenty of rain. Number 2, on the same second part of the first question, second answer to the first question. Rich soil and a long growing season. So that would still be under number 1. So there's going to be 3 reasons. 3 reasons. So we've already got 1, sunshine, warm and rain. 2, rich soil and long growing season. And the third one, there are between 200 and 290 frost-free days each year, which means that it doesn't get down below freezing very often, and so you can grow crops for longer. Longer growing seasons means more options of growing crops. So, there you go. That should be super, super simple. All right, next slide. Farming. So we're going to do the same thing. Farming. One of the most important parts of the South's economy is farming. For years, the South's major crop was cotton. By the 1950s, 1950s, bedspread factories in Georgia alone consumed 500,000 bales of cotton each year. Many Southern farmers once depended on cotton as their only source of income. Today, cotton still brings much money to the South, especially in Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. But king cotton no longer rules the region. In the 1890s, the boll weevil, a kind of beetle, began to attack cotton plants in the South. Over the next 30 years, it destroyed cotton crops across the region. Without money from cotton, many farmers went bankrupt. It's not good. Today, most Southern farmers raise more than one crop, because if they just did one and it failed, they got nothing and they could go bankrupt. So, down in our notes, farming has long been important to the economy of the South, especially farming cotton. Cotton. So this first blank here on your notes, cotton. In the 1890s, the boll weevil, W-E-E-V-I-L. I think Bella in the live lesson, I think Bella said weevil is evil. The boll weevil was evil for those cotton farmers. Took a lot of the cotton crop, causing farmers to now raise more than one crop. Super simple. Super simple. Next. Some of the crops need special growing conditions. Citrus fruits require year-round warmth and sunshine. Florida has plenty of both. Most oranges, tangerines, grapefruits, and limes are grown here than in any other state. Rice needs warm, moist growing conditions. Farmers in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi take advantage of their climate by growing rice along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico and in the Mississippi River Valley. So, Florida grows lots of what kind of fruits? Citrus fruits. So the first blank, citrus fruits, because it's warm all year long there. And what is grown along the Gulf of Mexico and the Mississippi River Valley? Rice. Rice. There you go. All right, agricultural products. Some areas of the South have become famous for their agricultural products. Georgia has taken one of its products as a nickname, the Peach State. Georgia is also known for peanut and pecan crops. Texans raise more cattle than do farmers in any other state. All of these are examples of the diversity of Southern agriculture. And this should say Georgia, not George. Georgia is the Peach State, and Texans raise more cattle than any other state. Just write down a couple of things from each paragraph. So if I haven't given you these notes, just look at the paragraph and be like, what's important from this paragraph? Georgia's the Peach State. Texans raise more cattle than anybody else. Just write down a couple things that are important. It's a way to look back at the paragraph and think, what is important in the paragraph? And write it down. Write down your own words if you can. Drilling and mining in some parts of the South. What is under the soil is as important as what grows in it. In Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas, companies drill for oil and natural gas. These can be used as fuel and made into petrochemicals. My milk jug, gallon of milk, which are substances such as plastics, paint, nylon, and asphalt that come from petroleum. In Alabama, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee, miners dig for coal. Southern states are leading producers of minerals such as salt, sulfur, and zinc. The South also produces many important building materials, including crushed stone, construction sand, and gravel and cement. So, this paragraph here. In Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas, companies drill for oil and natural gas. There's your blanks. Oil and natural gas, which can be used as fuel or made into petrochemicals. Fishing and forestry. Many people in the South make a living in fishing and forestry. The Chesapeake Bay area of Maryland and Virginia is famous for its shellfish, including clams, crabs, and scallops. Mississippi leads the nation in catfish farming. However, the South's fishing industry is strongest in Louisiana, Texas, and Florida. The timber industry is active in most of the southern states. Softwood trees, like the southern pine, are turned into lumber or paper. People use hardwood trees to make furniture. North Carolina has the nation's largest hardwood furniture industry. So, something that I wrote down out of this paragraph, you could write down something different. Whatever you think is important, that's what you need to go with. South has lots of industry that involves fishing and forestry. Trees are turned into lumber, paper, and what? Lumber, paper, and what? Furniture. Furniture. There you go. Furniture. So your blank is furniture. Next paragraph. Now you'll see that this is a big red bold heading. Big red bold headings for me, when I'm outlining the text, to me those make sense to be Roman numerals. Like Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, those sorts of things. Typically in your textbook there's no more than 2 or 3 red sections, typically. So that's how it makes sense in my brain. You don't have to use Roman numerals, but do make sections, because that shows that you kind of understand that the book is now talking about something different. And when you transition into something different, it kind of helps your brain to understand that we're changing gears, that we're going in a different direction. So anyway, southern cities and industries. Some people still think of the South as it was in the early 1900s, a slow-moving, mostly rural region. But over the past 50 years, this region has gone through many changes. Although the South's rural areas are still important to its economy, most people in the South today live in cities. Some work in factories or in high-technology firms. Others work in tourism or in one of the other service industries in this region's growing economy. This change from an agricultural-based economy to an industry-based economy is called industrialization. That was one of our vocabulary words. And I think it was also one of our test questions or our quick check questions. We can go back and look at that here in a bit. The South has gone through blank, where the economy has changed from agricultural-based to industry-based. Industrialization. Industrialization. So let's go all the way back. What is the change from agricultural-based economy to an industry-based economy called? What's that called? Industrialization. There's the answer. You can write that on your notes right there under number 2. Write that right there. Industrialization is the answer to the question, so that when you go through your quick check, you should be able to get that thing right. 29. Textiles. One of the most... 29 slide. This is 29 slide, sorry. That's why I said 29. One of the most important industries in the South is the textile industry. Textile mills make cloth. They were originally built in this region to use the South's cotton. Today, many mills still make cotton cloth. Others now make cloth from synthetic or human-made materials. The textile industry is strongest in Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia. So, here's what I wrote about this paragraph. You don't have to write the same thing. Like if this was... if I didn't give you the template for this section, if you were just taking notes, or you might find something else that's important there. I don't know, but this is what I thought was important. Cloth making mills can be found in Georgia, the Carolinas, and Virginia. So Georgia is your blank. Once again, if I'm going too fast, you can hit the pause button. This is a video. I'm not live in your room. This is a video, okay? So it's a video. That means that you can pause. Go back. If something is confusing you, you can text me 817-527-1208. 817-527-1208. Give me a text. Let me know. Mr. Carter, you're making no sense. Let me know. I can fix it. All right. Technology. One expanding set of industries is in the field of high technology. For example, workers develop computers and other electronics and figure out better ways to use them. Some centers of high technology are Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, and Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas, woohoo! Another high technology industry is the aerospace business. In Cape Canaveral, Florida, Houston, Texas, and Huntsville, Alabama, people work for NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Some people train as astronauts, while others run the Space Shuttle program. Atlanta, Georgia is now the center for the cable television industry. So CNN, headline news, the Weather Channel, those people broadcast, generally speaking, from Atlanta. Kind of crazy, Atlanta, Georgia. NASA, Houston. I've been down to NASA like when I was a kid, like a long time ago, like when I was in like maybe 6th grade, somewhere in there. Been a long time. So anyway, it was fun. I want to go back, maybe sometime. B, technology centers include both Austin and Houston. You don't have to fill in the blanks. I gave those notes to you. Transportation and tourism. A big part of the South's economy depends on moving goods and people into and out of the region. Most of the South's largest cities play important roles in this transportation industry. Miami, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana are major ports. Miami is a center for goods and people going to and from Central and South America. New Orleans is a gateway between the Gulf of Mexico and the Mississippi River system. It's also an important port for oil tankers. Some of the people of the transportation industry bring to the South come to stay. Thousands come to work in the South's new industries. Thousands more choose to move to the South because of its climate. It's warm. This is good. People like warmth. The South is part of the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt is the broad area of the United States that stretches from the southern Atlantic coast to the east coast of California. It is known for its warm weather. Population of the Sun Belt has been rising for the past few decades. Some arrivals are older adults who want to retire to places without cold, snowy winters. Others come to take advantage of both the weather and the work that the Sun Belt offers. So some blanks here on this one. Most of the major cities in the South are important in transportation. Transportation is your blank. Transportation, important in transportation. That's what makes them major cities, because it's important in transportation. They're major ports where goods are brought into the country. Many come to the South because of the climate with warm weather. The population of the Sun Belt has gone up as people from colder northern cities move from colder northern cities to places with warmer weather. Tourists love to come to the South during the winter. It's just warmer. It's fantastic. Get rid of the snow. Come to the South. So your blanks on this page. Most of the major cities of the South are important in transportation. So your first blank is transportation. Your second blank is warm weather. And the third blank is population. Transportation, warm, population. Almost done. The nation's capital, city of Washington, is not in a state. And that's your last question from the teacher notes. Where's Washington, D.C. located? It's not in a state. It's its own place. It's the District of Columbia. Instead, it is in the District of Columbia, which lies between the states of Maryland and Virginia. This area of land was chosen in 1790 as a site for the nation's capital, located on the shore of the Potomac River. Washington, D.C. is a planned city. Many people consider Washington to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It has wide avenues, grand public buildings, and dramatic monuments, including the Supreme Court, the Library of Congress, the Washington Monument, and good old President Lincoln himself at the Lincoln Memorial. The city's major avenues are named after the states. As the nation's capital, Washington is home to the nation's leaders and to hundreds of foreign diplomats. So here's what I wrote. Washington, D.C. There's your blank. Washington, D.C. lies between Maryland and Virginia. It is not part of any state, and it is home to our government. That is the entire section. All you got to do for each section that you go through, even if I don't give you a template for notes, take good notes. Take solid notes. Every single paragraph, just write down something from the paragraph, just to let train your brain to know that what I've read, I should think what's important in that section or that paragraph.